friends, it's your old pal Jordan the Lion. How are you all doing today? I hope you said well. Today we are starting our vlog in Natchez, Mississippi, but we're heading back to Louisiana because we are going to be vlogging in Ferriday, Louisiana today. The home of the great Jerry Lee Lewis, Mickey Gilly, and Jimmy Swaggart. And today, accompanying me other than Ja, will be my friend Kelly, who is their cousin. We met Kelly when we went to Jerry Lee Lewis's home in Mississippi, and she gave us a tour there a couple of times. And when I told her I was gonna be out here, she said she would come out and meet me in Ferriday so we could do this together. So I hope you guys enjoy what we see today. Daze with Jordan the Lion, the history of Jerry Lee Lewis, Mickey Gilly, and Jimmy Swaggart in Ferriday, Louisiana begins now. And I have my very own rock star right here, don't I? Don't I, rock star? So right now we're going over the Mississippi River, and they used to actually have a toll booth here. You had to pay to come back and forth. Ah, Louisiana, it's nice to be back. We're gonna meet up with Kelly over at the Delta Museum. It's a museum dedicated to those three guys. And unfortunately, for some reason, the Jerry Lee Lewis house has been closed for a little while. I don't know if it's COVID or something else, but I wanna go by there and check it out and see if maybe, I know they own like a drive-through liquor store next door. I want to see if maybe they'll, maybe I can talk to somebody and see something inside. They have a couple cool things inside the house. All right, we've entered Ferriday. Here it says they were cleanest city of 2010. Look at that, Mickey Gilly Avenue. We're a block away from the Jerry Lee Museum. Here it is. Here's the drive-through. The Pick Quick. For your convenience. So here we have the Lewis house. Now I was shocked when I came into town. I thought for sure that I had seen somewhere there was a sign that said hometown of Jerry Lee Lewis, Mickey Gilly, and Jimmy Swaggart. They all grew up here together. It's kind of crazy that three people would become so famous that were cousins that grew up together. I mean, it's pretty crazy, but didn't see it. So when I got here and I went through the drive-thru, one of his relatives runs it, and she said somebody vandalized it. Somebody vandalized the sign, so it's not up anymore. Here you can see some of Jerry Lee's hits. Kind of crazy, the songs he would have hits with, like Whole Lot of Shaking Going On and Great Balls of Fire and stuff like that, because when he was growing up, he was real gospel oriented. She even woke me up to say goodbye. There's nothing good about goodbye. There must be more to love than this. Thanks for nothing. And Mama, this one's for you. Some old lawnmowers out here, and then you notice that they have right over here right up here it says Jerry Lee Lewis, Ferriday, Louisiana, home of Jerry Lee Lewis, Linda Gale Lewis, Mammy Lewis, and then it's got his star on the Walk of Fame. It's got a little piano up there that has like glasses. They put mirrors to make glasses. It's kind of interesting. And inside here, they have all kinds of interesting memorabilia. I'm hoping, here you see it says sunrise to sunset. The relative who lives here just stepped away for a little bit, but I'm hoping maybe we can see inside because they have one of Jerry Lee's upright pianos, and they also have his high chair that he signed. For me, it's just cool to come see where people had early beginnings. I knew before they had this house, I mean, they were really, really poor. They grew up like on a lake in a rental cabin. But Jerry Lee always loved music from the time he was little, seeing people play the Chitlin circuit here in town at a place called Haney's Big House. I want to go over and check out that old location as well. And I love that they have that original bell there. Wonder if this was an old schoolhouse or something that he bought. He was very generous. I remember when I saw Linda Gail Lewis play during Elvis Week at Hernando's Hideaway, she said then, as soon as he started making money, because he was originally the piano player for Sam Phillips at Sun Studio, then Sam saw how good he was and had him cut a record, and then he had a hit right away. When he started making that money, he immediately bought himself a Cadillac, bought his mom a car, and bought her a house. He knew this was just the beginning of everything, so crazy. Very confident guy. And then right over here underneath the bell, moonshine for sale. That doesn't surprise me. But then it says, you can see right here it lists $1 Million Quartet, Johnny Cash, Carl Perkins, Elvis Presley, and Jerry Lee Lewis. And then over here it says Roy Orbison, Buddy Holly, Janis Joplin, John Lennon, Johnny Cash, Marta Ray, is that who that is? June Cash, Charlie Rich, B.B. King, Fats Domino, and Bob Wills. It's very cool too. I love it. So we got some good news. She's gonna let me see a few things inside the house. Okay, so when I went to the house, I didn't really understand whose house it was. I thought it was Jerry Lee's house, and then I found out that it was Jerry Lee's house that he gave to his sister Frankie Jean. So I had thought when I was taking this tour that I was seeing his mother's belongings, but it was actually Frankie Jean. So every time I say her or his mother's, I mean Frankie Jean, his sister's belongings. So she was nice enough to let us in. This is amazing. This place is trapped in time. This was Jerry Lee's mom's house, and this is exactly the way that she had it decorated up until she passed away. So there's no way I can show you everything. There's just way too much, but look at this mirror with the painting of him on there. That's all her china and mementos. And what's crazy, those are Jerry Lee's childhood chairs. And he's even signed. See, that one looks like that one says Linda. That's Linda's chair. Now you're not going to believe this. This is just, I mean, the things that they have here, all the photos, all the memorabilia. Literally his mother passed away in this house and asked her family before she passed away, not knowing she was going to pass away, if anything happens to me, please keep this the way it is for fans. So there's one of Jerry Lee's pianos. There are pianos all over the house. Pretty much everything in here is dedicated to Jerry Lee. Her curio cabinet. Walter Payton up there on the Wheaties box. There's the kitchen area in there. She said part of the reason it's not open right now is they have a few things that need repaired in the house, like part of the roof and various things, so hopefully they can get that. But there's the phone she used to talk to Jerry Lee on. And then check this out. The gun case, this was their moonshining guns. It says the Lewis family took very good care of the moonshine still. You would not want to cross the line. And I've been told that by other people. They said even like everybody in this town was afraid to mess with them. The guns used to guard the moonshine stills. We were serious about the stills. And as we know from Jerry Lee's history, he was not afraid to use a gun. Now this was Mama's room. Look at this. That's picture of Jerry Lee, but there's Elmo's story. That was his dad. But this is Jerry Lee's mom's room. She passed away in here. And I promised I would show this. There's Linda Gale Lewis jacket. And a Jerry Lee Lewis jacket right here. Here's her bed. And some of Jerry Lee's childhood clothing framed above her bed. And that's a real famous shirt. Gosh, I've seen him in that shirt. Wow. From the 50s? Here's another one of her telephones. Jerry Lee's footballs from 1956. Wow, right? What do you think she had the knives right up here by the door for? His shoes. Like I said, most of Jerry's pipes, most of this stuff was Jerry Lee's. Signed by Ron Wood from the Rolling Stones. Let's go back in here. The whole hallway is just loaded with pictures. Family photos, people they knew. There's little Jimmy Dickens. She says every once in a while she thinks about adding photos or something, but I said, no, you really shouldn't. You really should just leave it the way it was. And the people who live here now are Frankie Jean's kids. Look at that. His violins, his guitar. Like he's even playing the violin there. More of his childhood clothing. And here's some of Linda's stuff down here. Linda Gale Lewis. Of course. This is pretty unbelievable. It was so nice of her to let us see this, even though it was closed and they really kind of didn't want to have people in here. When she found out how far I came, she said, okay, you're a real fan. You can come in. Piano in every room. I love this. Picture of Buddy Holly. Jerry Lee childhood. And look at all these typewriters. And all the publicity photos of Jerry Lee. Wow. Okay, now we're going to leave this room. Aaron Ferriday. That's awesome. That's the bathroom. I've seen all kinds of stuff in here you wouldn't believe. I've seen presidential signed photos, and not even to Jerry Lee, but like to the other family members. Jerry Lee Lewis Jr. shoes. Look at all the pianos in here. And then just walls and walls and walls of memorabilia. his luggage. Whoa! Audie Murphy! Wow! That's so cool! Wow! Oh my gosh. It says to Marion Hank Williams. Wow! And Jason D. Williams. We just saw him at Winter Dance Party. Then Jerry Lee signed this one. To Marion, Fats Domino. Oh, there's Myra, the cousin that Jerry Lee married when she was 13, their baby. And look at that heater in here. More cowbell. Look at all the police patches. Well, I promised them I would not take up too much of their time and I wouldn't show everything so people have a reason to come back and for a little bit of their privacy. But I hope you guys have enjoyed what we've seen. Wow. I loved it. Absolutely loved coming in here. How many meals would he have eaten off those? Kelly's supposed to meet us here at the Delta Museum. She was driving all the way from Florida, so she didn't get here in time to go to the house. Right here is part of the Blues Trail. The Delta Music Museum and the old Ferriday post office. They even have a little Hall of Fame, which is kind of cool. Oh, look at that, Aaron Neville. Aaron Neville, Conway Twitty, of course, Mickey Gilly, and of course Jerry Lee. Then right here you see they named this Mickey Gilly Plaza, right next to the old arcade theater, which is pretty cool. And they have the story, Mickey Gilly, Jimmy Lee Swaggart, and the killer, Jerry Lee.
Jimmy Swaggart, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Mickey Gilly.
The Ferriday
They were all born here in Ferriday, and they are known as the famous Ferriday Three. Now, we also have the arcade over next door, where we have live events, and we also rent it out to the public. Now, we're known as the Delta Music Museum because of where we're located in the Delta. And the Delta's that triangular area between Memphis, Nashville, and New Orleans. That triangle there is the Delta. Now, she's Jerry Lee's baby sister. She's 13 years younger than him. Now, the way she got started in the music business is when he started getting famous and making his first checks and getting a little bit of, you know.
Yeah.
he would start going out on tour. Now, this is a more recent picture of her right here. She's now 72 years
Yeah,
old.
I just saw her perform in August.
She still performs. She has a band with her 2 daughters and her husband. Now, she ended up touring with him quite a few years, and she wrote this book, The Devil, Me, and Jerry Lee. That's about some of the really crazy things that he did out on the road.
I love James Burton. I'm a huge James Burton fan, and I met him in August as well at Elvis Fest.
Well, he's known for being Elvis's lead guitarist. Now, he's still there in Shreveport, and he puts on this really big international guitar festival every year, usually around August. And he also, at one time, played with John Denver.
Yeah, and Rick Nelson. I have one of those hats. He signed one of those hats.
Here's Ricky Nelson right down here. And he's still there in Shreveport. He still lives there in Shreveport. In fact, he lives down the street from our boss. Now, Tony Joe White, he's from Oak Grove, Louisiana. Who's
From
in
Urban
those pictures?
Cowboy. Maybe Jerry and Elmo. There's
Those are
Jimmy
some
Lee
old
Swaggart.
pictures. There are all photos that were donated by the families. Now this side is Mickey Gilly. He did a lot of television work. He did MASH, Dukes of Hazzard, Paradise Island. He appeared with Dennis Weaver, and of course John Travolta, the Urban Cowboy. They filmed that at his honky tonk Gilly's with the mechanical bull. Nesbitt, Mississippi. Now this is Myra, the cousin that he married. She was only 13 and his second cousin, which you know all about that.
Yep.
But,
Jerry Lee Jr.
He lost this child here. He drowned in the swimming pool. And he also lost this son, Jerry Lee Lewis Jr. He was killed in a Jeep accident here in Ferriday when he was 19. He was the more wild of the three.
Yeah, he got the name of the killer here, didn't he?
Mickey was the more modest of the three. But yeah, he did get his name, the killer, in grade school.
He was fighting a friend or something?
No, he had a teacher down on the ground by the necktie, trying to choke him.
They called him the killer from that.
They called him the killer. He has a very large church, worldwide ministry, and he's put out more records than all three of them, gospel records. And he's married to the same lady, Frances, and they live down in Baton Rouge. And if you have satellite television around here, you can pick him up live on Sunday mornings.
Look what else they have here. Conway Twitty's denim suit. And that is all Conway Twitty's clothing, memorabilia, the Twitty bird. Conway Twitty's leather bag. Now I want to take us over before the end of the day and see where Haney's was. That was the place that Jerry Lee was inspired by seeing people play piano in there. Old juke joint called Haney's Big House. So here's a picture of what the fate of Haney's Big House was, since it was mainly a black establishment. It was mysteriously set on fire, and when the fire department showed up to hook up to the water had been shut off, so the place just completely burned down. We're gonna see where it originally was, but I'm told that there's a replica of it here in town now. Oh, performing at the Apollo. Yeah, it reminded him of Haney's. We're gonna go over it and find where Haney's used to be. She's saying that Jimmy Davis was the Louisiana singing governor who wrote "You Are My Sunshine," and Sunshine was his horse. Now look at this back here in the corner. Mickey Gilly's golf clubs. So a couple people told me this was the former location of Haney's that was burned down, sadly. They told me in the museum they always thought it was the KKK who had done it. Now let's go see where the replica of Haney's is. So here's the recreation of Haney's Big House, owned by Will Haney. This was a part of the Chitlin circuit back in the day. Like I said, Jerry Lee was inspired by the musical performers that he saw here. There would be all kinds of people performing here over the years, from Fats Domino to Red Fox, Solomon Burke, Ike and Tina Turner Revue, Ray Charles, B.B. King. Jerry Lee used to stand at the back door of the original venue and listen to him. He liked the trombonist Pee Wee Whitaker. And they would sit there and listen to the R&B of the day. Nice that they recreated this, at least. I love it. Now we are heading out to the family cemetery, and Kelly will be joining us for that. I promised you a familiar face, and here she is. Kelly, so good to see you again. You and I just went through the museum, which was amazing, and you were cool enough to bring me out to the family cemetery.
Yeah.
Is this where Jerry Lee plans to be buried, do you know? Or this is where his family members are?
This is where his family members are. His parents, his sister, but this is the family. It's the Heron Family Cemetery is what it's called. That was his mother's maiden name, was Heron.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's go look around. I could see this from the road, so I was like, wow, that's really cool. I know how much Jerry Lee loves dogs, so when I saw the dogs over here, I was like, oh yeah, it's definitely part of his family. And it was nice we were able to get in Frankie Jean's house, which was pretty cool. They have so much cool stuff in there. Wow. There's Elmo's grave. Wow. I've seen these names so many times, it's just... Look, there's Elmo. It's Jerry Lee's dad, correct? Elmo, and then Elmo Jr., who you can see only lived a very short time. Mammy. Of course, you know who that is. It's Jerry Lee's mom. And then we saw some pictures of Jerry Lee Jr. inside the museum. She told us that his life was cut short by an auto accident in Ferriday. Says his life was gentle and the elements so mixed in him that the nature might stand up and say to all the world, this was a man. This was one of Jerry Lee's wives. Wow. I wonder where he'll be buried, but I hope he's buried out here. I mean, this just seems so appropriate for him. I mean, because it's like a destination, you know, a lot of people won't know where it is, but if he's here, people will come out here to visit, and he'll get all the attention even out here, and he'll be with his family. So.
Well, he's gonna outlive all of us, though, honestly.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah. I mean, he'll probably outlive me, so I'll probably never be here to see it. Very nice to come out and visit his family while we're here in Ferriday. I mean, I really feel like we got the most out of the Ferriday experience now there is. And then this is Stevie Allen Lewis. That's his son that passed away when he was 3 with Myra, correct? Yeah, I think we saw a picture in the Delta Museum of them together. I do have to say, this is a first. I've never seen something out here for you to leave your beer cans and beer bottles in when you go to a cemetery, but like Kelly said, it was the Lewis's, so. And here's Jimmy Swaggart's mother, Minnie Bell. Says, born on earth to live in heaven. And here is Uncle Lee Calhoun, Joseph Lee Calhoun. His house was the one that we saw today. That was originally his house. Very cool. Kelly's saying he pretty much owned most of Ferriday back in the day. Yep. And then that house ended up becoming Frankie Jean and Marion's house. So it was their daughter who let us in today. Sorry if I wasn't clear about that earlier in the video, but it was very nice of her, and it was Frankie Jean who wanted the house left the way it was, and that's why we got to see it. And Father Marion, a man of integrity who was loyal to God and his family. Bless you. And I should probably also say that Frankie Jean was Jerry Lee's sister. Lots of names being thrown at you today in this video.